Tonight, several breaking stories as we come on the air. President Trump reverses course, pausing his tariffs. The stock market skyrocketing on his abrupt change of course. What did the president and the White House reportedly see that concerned them? Also tonight, the images, the horrific roof collapse. They are going through the pieces, searching for any possible survivors. 2 former Major League Baseball players among the dead. And now we learned what one player did to save another player. First tonight, President Trump backs down. His tariff U-turn, stocks then racing upward. You will hear how the president explained his sudden pause late this afternoon, days after saying there would be no pause. The president had said early today to Americans and investors, be cool, hoping to calm markets. Then the sudden pause this afternoon on everyone but China. Reports some Republicans on the Hill were clapping when they heard the president reverse course. So what comes next? And how China is now responding tonight. Mary Bruce live at the White House. Tonight we have new reporting, the images from inside that collapse, the nightclub roof coming down. The death toll now more than 120 people killed. Frantic families on the scene at this hour, still waiting for news on their loved ones. Victor Oquendo was there in Santo Domingo. Tonight, the alarming moments on board a flight that left New York City, forced to turn back over the Atlantic, what a passenger allegedly had done. Tonight, the former NFL and college coach accused of hacking thousands of students, athletes, and others. Tonight, prosecutors reveal what they say they discovered and how he allegedly got those photos and videos of students and athletes undressed from emails and cloud storage accounts. Tonight, ABC News is inside the notorious prison in El Salvador, where the Trump administration has deported hundreds of migrants. Matt Rivers takes us through 80 inmates packed into a cell, lights that never turn off, and the Supreme Court decision that now paves the way for more migrants from the U.S. Tonight, the Idaho college murders case, the crucial hearing underway over which evidence will be allowed, and what the family of suspect Brian Koberger is hoping the judge will allow. Tonight, you will hear the 911 call, a brave 9-year-old girl in her home as an intruder breaks in, her parents confronting him, and what that 9-year-old did. Tonight, right here, the stunning new images of the Titanic, a first-of-its-kind 3D scan of the wreckage, what it might now reveal about the ship's final moments, and why they had to rush Prince Harry out of a courtroom today.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us here on a Wednesday night. We begin tonight with President Trump's sudden reversal on his tariffs, sending stocks skyrocketing today, just 13 hours after President Trump's sweeping reciprocal tariffs actually kicked in. President Trump then abruptly announcing a 90-day pause on those tariffs on everyone except China and keeping a baseline 10% tariff in place across the board. The stock market soaring on the president's sudden change today, the Dow gaining more than 2,900 points. The S&P 500 up 474 points. The NASDAQ roaring back, up 1,857 points, up 12%. The Dow still down nearly 4% since last week's tariffs announcement, but the scope of the recovery today was unmistakable. Earlier today, President Trump told Americans and investors, be cool, hoping to calm markets. Hours later, abruptly announcing the pause and telling reporters people were getting yippy, a little bit afraid. And the president acknowledging he had his eye on the U.S. bond market, a big sell-off with China and Japan dumping U.S. bonds, and what that signaled. Tonight, reports some Republicans on Capitol Hill were clapping when they heard the president reverse course, and how China is now responding tonight, with China the only exception to the pause. ABC's chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce leading us off tonight.
Tonight, the stunning about-face from President Trump, bowing to pressure from worried investors, frustrated businesses, a sell-off in the bond market, and the increasingly anxious American people. The president announcing he is pausing most of his sweeping retaliatory tariffs, just 13 hours after they went into effect.
Well, I thought that people were jumping a little bit out of line. They were getting yippy, you know, they were getting a little bit yippy, a little bit afraid.
Last night, a very different tone.
I know what the hell I'm doing. I know what I'm doing. And you know what I'm doing, too. That's why you vote for me.
Even this morning, Trump writing, be cool, everything is going to work out well. Wall Street in a tailspin in the week since Trump unveiled his massive tariffs. The Dow dropping more than 4,500 points. Forecasts of a recession on the rise. 2 days ago, with the markets plunging, I asked the president, would he consider a pause?
Would you be open to a pause in tariffs to allow for negotiations?
Well, we're not looking at that.
But today, a complete reversal. The president posting, "I have authorized a 90-day pause and a substantially lowered reciprocal tariff during this period of 10%. On Fox Business, one analyst saying the president and Treasury Secretary were likely taking special note of a major overnight development, a sell-off in the bond market. Countries like China and Japan dumping American bonds.
If you have a mass sale of bonds, that means people are losing confidence in the U.S. economy, on the ability to do deals with us. And from what I understand, this is what forced the hand of this 90-day reprieve.
The president today acknowledging he had his eye on the bond market.
Yeah, I saw last night where people were getting a little queasy.
Meanwhile, on Capitol Hill, a surreal moment. The president's trade representative, Jamieson Greer, being grilled by lawmakers about the tariffs when news broke of the pause.
Mr. Trade Representative, are you aware that the tariffs have been paused?
I am, yes.
When were you made aware of that?
Well, I understood the decision was made a few minutes ago.
And what do you know about those details?
Well, as I mentioned...
it looks like your boss just pulled the rug out from under you and paused the tariffs, the taxes on the American people. There's no strategy. You just found out 3 seconds ago, sitting here, we saw you.
The moment encapsulating growing frustration on the Hill. Yesterday in the Senate, some Republican senators sounding increasingly skeptical of the president's sweeping tariffs.
Whose throat do I get to choke if this proves to be wrong?
But on Main Street, the frustration coming from small businesses worried about staying afloat if tariffs force them to raise prices. At Pacer's running store in Alexandria, Virginia, owner Chris Farley says his supplier told him the price of this pair of sneakers is about to skyrocket.
He said if things track the way they are tracking now, it'd be $220. And I said, I can't sell this for $220. I can't.
I was with Chris when we got word the tariffs were now on hold.
Okay, so the president, it appears, just announced that he is pausing these tariffs and lowering them.
This is the world we're in now. What I was hoping for is some predictability of life and work, and this is just so challenging that's great news. Maybe I should react that that's great news, but what does that mean for tomorrow?
Today, the president was asked how Americans are supposed to trust him after such a dramatic change in position.
You said that these tariffs would go into effect on Monday. You said no pause, and today there is a pause. So how can people believe your words today?
You have to have flexibility. I could say, here's a wall, and I'm going to go through that wall. I'm going to go through it no matter what, and keep going, and you can't go through the wall. Sometimes you have to be able to go under the wall, around the wall, or over the wall.
The president late today at the White House. Let's get right to Mary Bruce live at the White House as well tonight. Mary, the president obviously suddenly putting his reciprocal tariffs on hold. This was just about 13 hours after they went into effect at midnight. We know there's still a baseline 10% tariff in place across the board. The exception is China tonight. I'm curious China's reaction. And the president and the White House also aware of the sell-off in the U.S. bond market and what that signaled.
Well, David, they were definitely aware of that sell-off. And the president tonight, as you say, is only escalating his trade war with China, responding with 125% tariffs on Chinese exports. That is a staggering amount. It comes after Beijing announced a new round of retaliation to Trump's tariffs on them. Now, President Trump says a deal with China is still possible. He says he's willing to talk to President Xi, but the Chinese tonight, David, say they will, quote, fight to the end. David.
Mary Bruce leading us off from the White House tonight. Mary, thank you. We also have new reporting here tonight on that horrific roof collapse at a packed nightclub in the Dominican Republic. The death toll now more than 120 people dead. Video from inside the club showing the performance when the roof suddenly caves in right there. Tonight here, the desperate search for survivors still underway at this hour. Many still reported missing, and families anxiously waiting at the site hoping for news. As we also learn what one former Major League Baseball player did for another player to save him while losing his own life. Victor Oquendo is on the scene for us tonight.
Tonight, rescue workers in Santo Domingo working round the clock in an all-out race to find any survivors after the roof of this popular nightclub collapsed with hundreds packed inside. A growing line of grieving relatives, desperate for answers, gathering outside what's left of the jet-set nightclub. Officials saying it's unclear how many people were inside Monday night just before 1 a.m. This video circulating online appearing to show a merengue band on stage mid-performance when a man points at the roof saying something fell. Within seconds, the collapse and screams as the video goes dark. This group rushing away from the dance floor moments before the tragic accident. The director of emergency operations saying overnight you could hear people trapped pleading for help. The death toll now rising to at least 124, with more than 150 injured. Among those killed, multiple politicians, a fashion designer, legendary and decorated merengue singer Ruby Perez, his saxophonist on stage at the time of the collapse, two former MLB players, Octavio Dotel and Tony Blanco. Blanco, according to reports, saved a former teammate by pushing him out of the way of falling debris. Major League Baseball saying they are shocked and saddened by the sudden and tragic death. David, just an incredibly difficult scene here outside of the Jet Set nightclub. You can see where the roof came crashing down and all the heavy machinery and cranes that have been working nonstop. Just across the street, hundreds of family members here, desperate for word on their loved ones who are still missing. And tonight we've also learned at least one American died here. David?
All right, Victor Oquendo on the scene. Victor, thank you. We turn now to the alarming moments on board a flight that left New York City, was then forced to turn back over the Atlantic, what a passenger allegedly had done. Gio Benitez covers aviation.
Tonight, scary moments for passengers on board an American Airlines flight that was forced to turn around over the Atlantic after a passenger on board allegedly became disruptive.
300 people that were on their way to Milan got their flight uninterrupted, got traumatized from actually seeing what this guy was doing.
It happened Monday night on American Airlines Flight 198 from New York's JFK to Milan. American says the man tried taking a seat in an exit row and challenged flight attendants when they told him to go back because he was traveling with a child. He was also reportedly upset he didn't get the in-flight meal he requested. The flight turning around over the Atlantic, landing back at JFK at around 3 a.m.
We understand the passenger is seated and at least somewhat compliant now. Do you guys still want law enforcement at the gate?
Affirmative.
Police boarding the plane, taking the man and his family off. The pilot apologizing.
I'm so sorry that this happened. It's out of our control.
And David, airport officials say no one was arrested. American Airlines says it offered meal vouchers to passengers and they departed later that morning. The FAA is now investigating. David?
All right, Gio Benitez. Gio, thank you. We turn tonight to the former NFL and college coach accused of hacking thousands of students, athletes, and others. Tonight, prosecutors revealing how he allegedly got photos and videos of students and athletes undressed from emails and cloud storage accounts. Here's Aaron Katursky.
Tonight, the stunning volume of explicit images investigators say they've seized from former University of Michigan coach Matt Weiss.
Do you have anything to say?
The Justice Department emailing thousands of victims, telling them Weiss gained unauthorized access to their email, social media, and cloud storage accounts and stole thousands of candid, intimate photographs and videos.
It feels that much more devastating to find out that you weren't protected, that again you're treated like nothing more than an object.
Prosecutors say some of those hacked images show victims naked. Some show victims engaged in explicit sexual acts. Investigators say they discovered the images on Weiss's electronic devices and storage accounts after he was accused of hacking more than 3,300 people, mainly female college athletes, keeping notes commenting on their bodies and their sexual preferences. The indictment says Weiss hacked into a third-party vendor that maintains student databases for more than 100 colleges and universities across the country, and even cracked the encryption protecting the passwords simply by doing research online. Just a chilling development, David. Prosecutors saying that Weiss researched online how to access these accounts, then mined personal information like mothers' maiden names, pet names, places of birth. Weiss has pleaded not guilty to all charges. David?
That is really troubling, Aaron. Thank you. Tonight, ABC News inside the notorious prison in El Salvador, where the Trump administration has deported hundreds of migrants. And now the Supreme Court decision paving the way for more. Matt Rivers in El Salvador.
We traveled to El Salvador, given extraordinary access to the country's most notorious prison, Secot.
Hola, buenas tardes.
Where the Trump administration has deported hundreds of Venezuelan migrants it claims are hardened gang members.
Hola, señor.
The prison's director takes us in, onto a bus heading toward the cell blocks, where tens of thousands of prisoners now live. Behind these gates, a concrete fortress, walls 20 inches thick. But we're told we will not see those Venezuelan migrants the Trump administration sent here.
And so the authorities here in the prison would not let us into the building where those that have been deported from the United States are currently at. But right there, that building behind me, they're inside there, we're told, in the same kind of conditions that we've seen elsewhere.
The director takes us to one of the blocks to see those conditions. Masked officers guarding every door. Inside, alleged local gang members accused of robbery, rape, murder, crammed at least 80 to a prison cell. They all share 2 toilets. No visitors or books allowed, 30 minutes of exercise each day. The lights here don't turn off. Inmates are never allowed outside. And we're there as inmates are called out of their cells for an inspection.
This is bleak, this is brutal, it is difficult to watch, but the government of El Salvador says that these people are the worst of the worst. ABC News has no way to confirm each one of those cases, whether they're guilty or innocent, but what is true is that the majority of those people will spend the rest of their lives in a cell like that one.
Nada, no sabemos nada.
Mercedes Yamarte says her son, Mervin, is among the Venezuelan migrants taken to Secot from the U.S. Those images seen around the world. In the government video, Mercedes recognizing her son. She has not heard from him.
Mira, cuando yo vi esa foto, la mirada de mi hijo era pidiendo auxilio.
His eyes were begging for help, Mercedes tells me. I can't do anything, and it's excruciating. ABC News has no way to verify if he is a gang member or is wrongfully detained, though we have not found a criminal record for him in the U.S. The Department of Homeland Security did not comment on the case. And tonight here in El Salvador, with the Supreme Court saying the administration can use wartime powers to try and deport alleged gang members if given due process, more prisoners likely coming soon.
And David, just now, the Department of Homeland Security confirming they will continue to deport alleged gang members here to that prison in El Salvador. David?
Matt Rivers live in El Salvador for us again tonight. Matt, thank you. Back here in the U.S., meanwhile, in a crucial hearing in the Idaho college murders case today over which evidence will be allowed at the trial. Brian Koberger, the suspect charged with fatally stabbing 4 students to death in an off-campus house. The evidence includes more than 13,000 photographs and hundreds of hours of video. The defense also asking the judge to allow Koberger's family to sit behind him during the trial. When we come back here tonight, you will hear the 911 call, a brave 9-year-old girl, an intruder in the home, and what she does. Also, why Prince Harry was rushed out of a courtroom today. And right here tonight, the stunning new images of the Titanic. What the images might reveal right here in a moment. Tonight, police praising a 9-year-old girl calling 911 to report an intruder in Westminster, California. Her parents confronting him.
Do you have your mom and dad there? Can I speak to somebody?
No, my mom and dad are downstairs.
Your what?
Mom and dad are downstairs.
Saying? You're yelling and screaming or just talking?
I heard downstairs. Open up, open the door. And I heard him hitting the door.
The child calmly calling for help, police coming, her father using pepper spray in the meantime. They then arrested the suspect. Incredible. When we come back here tonight, why Prince Harry was rushed out of a courtroom by bodyguards today. To the Index, Prince Harry was rushed out of a London courtroom by bodyguards today after an outburst. The person was a supporter, but security taking no chances. Prince Harry is there for his case against the British government over his plea for greater security. When we come back here tonight, the remarkable new 3D images of the Titanic. Finally tonight, the extraordinary new view of the Titanic. Tonight here, the stunning new 3D images of the Titanic.
Wow.
Using a remote-controlled submersible camera to meticulously scan the Titanic from all angles.
Wow, here it goes.
In a new Nat Geo documentary special called Titanic, The Digital Resurrection, from ABC's parent company Disney, reconstructing a minute-by-minute timeline.
We actually now find out from these simulations that the time it took for the Titanic to collide with the iceberg was 6.3 seconds.
The incredible level of detail, allowing them to construct a first-of-its-kind, full-size 3D rendering of the wreckage. It may help solve some of the Titanic's biggest unsolved mysteries.
This davit is in the up position, meaning its crew is basically trying to get a lifeboat ready to be launched.
Tonight, the extraordinary new view of the Titanic, 113 years after it sank. It is spectacular. The special premieres Friday night, 9 p.m. Eastern on National Geographic, then streaming on Disney Plus and Hulu. I'll see you tomorrow night. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.